Cool. Gotta hit all the buttons first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So welcome, Christina. It's so fabulous to have you here today.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about the new book. I have another nice background with the flowers that somehow match the book. I didn't plan for it, but really excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, I think you're like me. You're just like always on brand. Like it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
it's just subconscious. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pulling it up on here in case we get some questions. My phone, you can't see it, but
Yeah. Yeah.
in case we get some questions today. So I'm Corey Walmsley. I'm CEO of Aurora Borealis Publishing. And today we are talking with Dr. Christina Tarantola Fontana, which sounds like a song, but it's a real person. And she just put out her 5th book, and we worked together on the editing process. Karen, our fabulous cover designer, did the cover. Shout out to Karen. We love Karen.
We do.
So, so we wanted to hop on today and talk about Christina, her new book, and all the fabulous things that this is going to help impact. So Christina, can you start out by just telling us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, so I am a pharmacist, intuitive healer, rapid transformation business coach, and I help pharmacists to release blocks like imposter syndrome, the fear of being seen, self-doubt, all of that, so that they can really shine in their brilliance and to scale a profitable healing business. So that's really what this book is about. And I want to just, before we even start, this is not only my book, this is a beautiful collaboration with 20 other people, one who is not a pharmacist, but should be an honorary pharmacist, Todd Urey, who we all know and love, and 19 other women who I need to put at the forefront of this conversation because I could not have this book without them. So just wanted to give a shout out for anybody watching. I know that some of my contributors are also friends with you, so they might be watching, and I'll be resharing this later. So I just want to really from my heart speak to that this could not have been the same book without these other women and Todd Urey. So I just needed to say that, as we dive into this conversation.
Awesome. And I'm going to say, if for anybody who's watching, I will be tagging all of them below. So if you wanted to find out more about what they do and, how they started their businesses, absolutely find them on Facebook, friend them, talk to them, because they're all amazing people.
Yeah.
You touched on a couple of things here that I wanted to talk about. So you mentioned about imposter syndrome and some of those kind of things that impact entrepreneurs. As an entrepreneur myself, I know I've been through some of those kind of challenges. Is there anything different about how pharmacist entrepreneurs go through these things?
Absolutely. And I experienced it in the last few days myself. And so, when you have a business, there's so much that can come at you. You're doing different projects, you're working with clients. And as pharmacists, we are trained unconsciously to be perfectionists. I was just talking to somebody about that today. So perfectionism, people pleasing, because a lot of pharmacists are naturally healers and helpers. So they often put their needs last and they want to help everyone else, but it leads to burnout and feeling drained at the end of the day. So there's a lot of these nuanced blocks that I work with pharmacists specifically on, although I can help women of all types, in all different, categories. I chose specifically to work with pharmacists because I get the pharmacist brain. I know what it's like to be, a perfectionist and to have all of these things that can really prevent you from shining your light out into the world. Because if you think about it, if you are a perfectionist and you need to go over something 10,000 times before you actually put it out there, whether it's a book, whether it's a video, whatever that is, that's delaying your path. And so I help women to clear those blocks, to neutralize a lot of it as fear of showing up, of shining, of owning their worth and their value. That is so huge, because as pharmacists, we're only used to, we're used to the $50, $60, $70 an hour. But as an entrepreneur, it's a totally different framework of charging based upon the potency of the transformation, charging based upon your skill set, how quickly you can collapse. I call it collapsing time, where you're accelerating someone's path. So I have been doing this for 10 years. So I can look at someone, I'm very intuitive. I can be like, this is what's happening. This is what we need to shift. And they can show up in their brilliance a lot quicker than if they were to just try to do it themselves. And the reason why I keep talking about shining in your brilliance and what I talk about in the book is that, a lot of pharmacist entrepreneurs want more clients, they want more visibility, but then there are these fears and these negative consequences that are preventing them from fully stepping into their light. And so it's working with all of these transformation tools that, you and I have worked on too. A lot of those, I work a lot with the subconscious, with energy, with embodiment, to help pharmacists to show up in their confidence, to shine their light, to own their brilliance. Because a lot of them as well have this fear of like, well, I don't want to brag. I can't show up like this because I can't be too brash or whatever, because we're used to being professional and staying in this box. And this book is showing you, and if you follow me, I just let it rip, right? So like, you don't have to, if you have to look at anybody, just look at me and know that you can give yourself permission to be fully self-expressed in your business, because your clients want to see that. They want to see the real you. And that's really what this journey is. It's growing and scaling a business, but it's really returning back to who you are as a soul. And in this evolution, this transformation journey, you connect more to who you really are, which is love. And it's back to that heart-centered healer that I'm talking about in the book. So that's my long-winded answer. I will let you talk. I'm going to bounce the volleyball back to you now.
No, that was really good. And I think it's important for us as entrepreneurs, and especially people who've been in an environment that kind of creates that persona of perfection and that persona of staying small, to recognize where those feelings are coming from. And that's not something we're taught in the corporate world. That's something where, we're a cog, and we're taught to be the cog, do this position, and, don't worry about anything else. And I feel like it's so important for people to see people like you, recognizing where feelings are coming from, explaining to them, your feelings aren't just popping up, they are coming from a certain place. So I think that's a really big strength that you have, and that you share in this book.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I feel like when you have those tools and the awareness of, this is the story I'm telling right now because of what's showing up in my reality, then you're able to navigate challenges in your business a lot quicker. And again, it's that resiliency. So instead of something taking months and it's just wiping you out, I think of like what I was thinking of the other day, this analogy of, when you're going, like if you're going into the ocean and like a wave knocks you down, how long is that wave going to knock you down? Is it going to be a week, a month? Because a lot of pharmacists, I see this all the time, and it makes me so sad that, one little thing, like one blip in the road, and then they abandon the business, or they have to go back to pharmacy. And I don't want that for people. And so I go through stuff too all the time, but my refractory period of when the event happens and how I recover is a day. It's not a week, a month, anything like that. So that's the value of this work, is that not that you're bypassing your feelings and you're not feeling what's there, you're feeling it, and then you're moving through it with these tools to accelerate. Okay, it's not going to just wipe me out, so that I'm not going out there using my energy to get, attract more clients, to write that course, to do all of these things. Because what I really work with is energy. It's all about, to me, energetic efficiency. So if we are using our energy for all of that, like if your energy is tied up in people pleasing and doing all these things for other people, you're not using that beautiful gift that you have to go and, create the new course, write the book, whatever that is. And that's how I'm able to do this so quickly. And I know we'll get into that with one of your questions here about the book. So
yeah. I like how you explain that, because people pleasing and things like that are exhausting. So I think it's really a good way of looking at it, is to think like, you have so much energy. Are you going to spend it on people pleasing, or are you going to spend it on rocking your business?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I did want to talk about where the idea came from for this book, because I know we've been friends for a while, and I've seen your business kind of shift a little bit over time. And, I worked with you a couple years ago, and, now you're working with pharmacist entrepreneurs. So, where did the idea for the book come from?
Yeah, that's a great, I really believe, God is my CEO, and I meditate every day, twice a day, and I'm always kind of tuning into, okay, what will you have me do today? What is the next action? What do you have for me to do? Pretty much like think about a boss. Like a boss is like, okay, go and do that thing or do
Yeah.
that task. And so one day I think it was in May, I remember meditating, and I get images and I hear words and I see words in my mind's eye. And it was kind of just like this intuitive download of this book should be created. And I started to inquire a little bit more. And it was like, okay, it's not just you, it's like the multiple people. So I saw, an image of like 20, 30, 40 people. And so I just went with it, and I just, put the application out, and I said, like, who would want to be part of this book? And here we are. So we had a lot of people, and actually one of your questions, I'm going to jump to that. You were
Yeah.
asking about the application, because I'll just like wrap it in with this. I have a support coach, Angela, who
Mhm.
so I have, a beautiful team of support coach, all of the, my virtual assistants, and they helped in this process so much. And Angela, I said, let's go through each of these applicants and really feel into, are they a good fit? Are they an aligned match? And that's really how we decided. It was just that intuitive process of, looking at the applications. They had to fill out several questions, and it wasn't like, oh, we'll just take anybody. It was very specific and very intentional. So that was a really cool process to go through.
Yeah. And I, of course, have read through the whole book, and I was really impressed with how, everybody seemed to be at that same level of like desire to make their business work. And, you can always tell when somebody is telling their story and they haven't healed a lot of stuff around it. And it seemed like everybody was really coming at it from a higher perspective. So that was something I loved about the people that you selected, was they were so empowered, even
Mm,
though they hit, roadblocks. Everybody does, but they didn't talk about them in a negative way. It was like, hey, this is a challenge and this is how I overcame it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And not all of them are my clients. Like, I would say probably 2/3 of them are, but the other women that I didn't even know a couple of them. So we had, we hopped on Zoom and I got to know them, and I was blown away by, exactly, that's the right word, is empowered and strong. And like, these women have been through some really deep traumas, and they've come out the other side to shine their light, to create a business that serves other people.
Mhm.
So it's really inspiring to know that, my energy attracted these amazing people, and they channeled their brilliance into this book.
Yeah, I thought it was just wonderful, and absolutely, yes, it was your energy bringing these people in. So well done. Um, and I did want to talk about the structure of the book. So, I mean, obviously, this is your book, and you also shared the stories of collaborators. Can you talk about the structure of the book so everybody understands, what's going on?
Yeah, so it's really designed, I always think of, whenever I start writing a book, is what is the theme of the book? So to me, it's helping pharmacists to literally move beyond the counter, out of this limited, toxic masculine environment of suppressing your needs, of, not being able to speak up, of overworking your body way past the point of exhaustion.
Mhm.
Me working in retail, I was in, a corporate environment, and you can't take breaks. You can't go to the bathroom when you want. If you're taking a bite of your sandwich and a doctor calls, you have to abandon yourself. So all of these habits that we've learned, whenever pharmacists go to become entrepreneurs, it automatically translates. So it's like, oh, well, I have to answer this message right away. Oh, I have to do this. And it's that automatic response. And so what I'm really helping create is this new paradigm of the queen, of this divine feminine archetype of being able to be self-expressed in your business, showing up fully as yourself, not needing to be rigid and in that perfectionism, but rather being authentic, being connected to your heart. That's a major theme of the book. And I think that a lot of pharmacists are very analytical. So they're often in their mind, which also runs fear. So what I help pharmacists do is, and one of the goals of the book is to help you marry that analytical mind with your beautiful, brilliant heart so that you can channel more love into the world. Because when you come from your heart, you really connect with people. And so it's taking you through, in my part of the book, these 5 steps to scale, which I'm really excited about. I put so much love and energy into creating. It's kind of like a prescriptive nonfiction, right? So like you're reading a chapter, and then at the end there are action steps that you can take to integrate it right away. So I'm teaching you something. Here's what you can do. And then there's also a lead magnet, a beautiful book bundle that I created where you can go in and scan the QR code. It's free, and you get additional trainings, which I just can't wait for everybody to see that, because, you know, you get an additional 40 meditations from me. Like, I just kind of went all out. I said,
Yeah.
you know, here, I really want you to get the most out of this. So that's the first part of the book. And then the second part is really dedicated to the stories of these incredible women that have, you know, created businesses that are serving their clients. They're using their soul gifts. And I actually curated the questions to really bring that out so that they could even dig deep within themselves and see, oh, like I had so many people saying, I didn't even realize a lot of the things that, you know, the gifts that I had. So as they were going through the questions and you know, answering them, I got a lot of messages from people saying, like, wow, I'm starting to show up differently in my business now. You know, they felt like they couldn't be a certain way. And now this book process gave them permission to shine in a different way and unlock a different part of their personality. So it was really, it wasn't just a book project to me. It was a transformation, you know, and I think a lot of the contributors would agree with that. It's, you know, really this digging deep into your soul and sharing that so vulnerably. It takes courage.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
So,
Yeah. And I did want to say, you were talking about how pharmacists are very analytical, and we'll get back to some of the book stuff, but I think that's very interesting because, you know, a lot of people are very analytical, and we're taught, you know, to think things through and to do all this stuff, you know, from our brains.
yeah.
And we aren't necessarily taught to do things from our heart. And when you're in that transition, because I'm a very analytical person too, I'm equal left and right brained. And so I would always be like, you know, trying to think it through, plow through with my brain. And really all I need to do is trust myself.
Mhm.
And I think that's something important that this book does too, is getting people to trust their intuition and trust
Mhm.
themselves, trust their higher selves, all of that kind of stuff. So they
Yeah.
can step beyond the like, well, this doesn't make sense sort of thing.
Right, absolutely. And I show on the David Hawkins chart, which I talk about all the time, you know, he mapped out this entire scale of consciousness, and logic and reason is actually at a level of 400 and love is at a level 500. So all that to say, the energy of your heart has so much more power than that of the mind. And this has been shown. And I actually go through and show you, and I blend science and spirituality in this book as well, to actually show the practical, tangible evidence through the Heart Math Institute, through all these different examples, so that the analytical person can see, wow, this isn't just some woo-woo like
Yeah.
stuff that Christina's saying. You know, I wanted it to be really grounded in, you know, research and sharing that with pharmacists as well.
Mhm. Yeah, that is something I really like about your work. It was like this on the last book too. I noticed you didn't just give this information, like it's all rooted in the research, that it's very scientific if you want to go in that direction.
Yeah.
So that is something, you know, again, with my scientific background, I was like, oh, this does make sense. So I think it will be very helpful, especially for people who have that training, to give that little shift, and for them to say, it's okay, I've still got, you know, I've still got a hand in the science. And
Yeah.
I actually shift over and trust my heart. This is all okay.
Yeah, it's like a steering wheel, like you're driving, you're
Yeah.
like, if you go that way, you're not going to go straight, right? You have to hold
Right.
both hands. I love that analogy. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
I wasn't even intending that. I just ended up driving.
Yeah, I saw you driving. I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a good way to look at it. So I don't want to get too far off track, but yeah. So anyway, this is your 5th book, as I mentioned. And I was curious,
Here are some
you know,
other
what
ones.
was
And you've helped Eric too. These are Eric's.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we have 7 babies now. So,
That's a pretty good number.
yeah.
Yeah, Eric's her husband, in case you guys don't know. But I wanted to talk about like what kind of challenges did you run into with this book? Because you've been through the process before, but every book is different.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, like I said, I want to really commend my team because, Rachel helped me a lot. My virtual assistant helped me on the that beautiful book bundle. Like there's a really nice PDF. Anybody who knows my work, even if it's free, I'm like, I want it to look pretty.
Yeah.
So, it's a beautiful PDF that walks you through, just some additional exercises to really seal in the work from the book. So Rachel really helped me with that. Priscilla helped with all of the organization, communicating with you. I was so blessed to have just everybody because, when you think of someone that is very successful, they always have a team of coaches, accountants, whatever. Like I don't do my business by myself. I couldn't, and I don't want to. So being able to have people that I could call and say, hey, Corey, what do you think about this? Hey, Karen, what should the title be? She was just great too at being able to, help me and just be the sounding board for all of that. And you were paramount too in every single step of the process. So I mean, besides the blip that we had, like a couple days ago, I really can't say that there were many challenges. Like the women felt so connected in the group, in our Facebook group. Everybody got along. We're having the in-person book signing here in Pittsburgh, and a lot of them are coming. So I really can't say there were many challenges, which I'm very, knock wood, I'm blessed to say that.
I know we hadn't talked about this question before, but I'm curious, as somebody who did come from the, corporate mindset and move into entrepreneurship, did you find it challenging to kind of let go of those pieces and say, all right, I know I can trust my VA, I know I can trust my cover designer, to actually let them go and say, that's not something that I need to handle myself, I can trust?
Yeah, so that's a great question because I've heard a lot of pharmacists say, oh, well, I can do it better myself, so I'm just going to do it all. And again, it comes back to energetic efficiency. I always say, this is your bottle, this is your energy, the water. So if you want to, drain your energy real quick, pour the water out, do everything yourself, that's not going to be workable for scaling your business. So I think it started off, it was Priscilla was my first assistant, then I added on Rachel, and then it gradually just grows. So I feel like for me, it wasn't that challenging to lean on people, although I definitely felt those control patterns come through. But as because I'm thinking probably that was 2019 when I first hired Priscilla, but now it's 3 years later, I've definitely learned to just kind of let go, because as long as you communicate clearly, set expectations, and I have systems in place, I feel like then, and they know me, they know what I like by now. So it's kind of just a really beautiful partnership to have with people that you trust. So that's a great question though, because I think a lot of people struggle with that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I know personally, I went through that too with my business, because there was a point where I did everything and I had to say, all right, I can pass off editing.
Yeah.
I can pass off this. So now I work with a couple other editors who handle some of the books we do. So I thought that would be very helpful for other people to kind of get behind the scenes on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking that question.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, this is your 5th book. What is it you love about writing? What is it that that keeps you? I know, you're talking to your CEO and he's saying it's time for another book, but what is it that makes you go, you know what, I need to do it?
I love the fact that you can bring intangible concepts from your mind into a physical, practical reality. So it's taking energy, which is intangible, it's a thought, it's a desire, it's a decision, and turning it into something tangible that someone will read for years to come. And my dad always said this, he's like, and this is very morbid, but I think it's a good example. He's like, after I die, like, what's the legacy? I said, I'm the legacy and my sister and brother are the legacy, but he's like, you're going to have a book, like several books that people are going to read. I mean, I don't know how long Amazon's going to be available or up or whatever in years, centuries to come, but it's a piece of my soul. Like each part of each book that I write has such a different frequency. It's a different part of my life.
Mhm.
It's just, for me, I've always loved writing. And I think that it's just this beautiful way to channel things into the world that people can read and learn from. So I always loved it. And I will continue writing books.
That was a really good answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is your writing process?
Yeah. So for me, I get the download, I see the images, I hear the words. And what I do is, and I actually showed a lot of this on Instagram because I like for my audience to see what the process is. So I get out my little cork board and I have little sticky notes and I write the chapter titles of like, this has to be in it. This is this, this is this. And I just start moving them around. So I have a little cork board and I'm creating these chapter titles so that there's a flow. And then once it feels good to me, then I start, typing it on a document. I say, okay, these are the chapter titles. And then I start filling it in. And a lot of the content, I know you and I have talked about this before. Some of the content I do repurpose. You talked about, I think maybe in one of my books, or I've heard you talk about this before in some capacity of like taking a blog that you wrote and using it in your book. And so sometimes I do that. I'm like, all right, let's pull this. And I start just filling it in. And then I go back and look at the flow. And then I send it to you and you make me look good and you clean everything up. And yeah, I mean, it's not always simple, but like for me, I guess I'm very quick. So like it comes through very quickly. And then like the next steps just kind of like, I'm so passionate about it that I'm just pulled and inspired to work on it. So this time around, I went to Nemacolin for a few days and worked on it. And then I also was spending a lot of time at this beautiful little Cafe Conmigo in Wexford. So I would go there and I had my noise canceling headphones and would just sit and type and work. But, at the end of the day, it's so gratifying. You can hold a book in your hands, you can look at it, you can say, wow, look at these amazing contributors on the back. You can go through and look and get so much value from a book. So I feel like, that in itself, seeing the bigger picture, and I want this book, and I'm just going to affirm this by putting it out. I want this book to impact thousands of pharmacists. I hope this book reaches all over the world. I hope that it impacts, it inspires, it uplifts people to know that they don't have to stay in this box, that they're allowed to be themselves, to be creative, to marry their heart with their logical mind, to shine their light out in the world, that they can create a profitable business online. That is my hope. So it's kind of like that intention that I want to just really put out for anybody watching this. I hope that you get so much value from this book.
Yeah, I think that's a fabulous intention.
Yeah.
Yeah. So was there anything that we forgot to cover? Because I think we got just about every single piece.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking at the list here. So where can we find the book? So it's Kindle or paperback. So everything is updated with that. And yeah, I think we went over everything. We
Awesome.
really got in the nooks and crannies of this book. I'm so excited.
Yeah, me
to
too.
continue to promote it. And thank you so much for having me on and for all the work that you did, all the emails, all the voice memos back and forth. Corey is just incredible, like such a great communicator, exceptional with, oh, and another thing I wanted to shout you out for, there were some things in the book that needed design work. And Corey, did it right away. I'm trying to see if I can find, exactly. Oh, here we go. Here's this badass woman that you created. She's like, oh, I'll just make the image myself. She made this image. It's of the chakra system. Yeah. But I really love that you have so many talents. And like, I know I'm really honoring your brilliance and being able to, be organized. That's a gift in itself. Being organized, being a great communicator, bringing the design element into it so graciously. helping me with that. Cause I was like, oh, I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. I'm like, I don't want to have to create my own image. Can you do it?
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
Uh,
It was something like, I love that we can just say, hey, you're good at this. Just do this. Just do this.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Thank you so much. So
Yeah. Well, thank you for being on and talking to everybody about your amazing book and your business and, all the entrepreneurs who participated in this book. Huge shout out to them too.
yeah.
The book is available as an ebook or paperback on Amazon, and I will be putting the link below so you guys can hop on and grab that book. And I know it's August, but hey, holiday gifts, birthday presents for the entrepreneur in your life who, started as a pharmacist. They may still be there and they're growing their business. This would be an amazing thing for them to get their hands on.
I was gonna say one more thing, sorry, too. If you're a healer in healthcare, so I mean, a lot of it's focused on pharmacy, but it can still apply to nurses, doctors, nurse practitioners. So keep that open too, that you can also, share with them as well. Because, a lot of the principles can still be applied to those professions too.
Yeah, I think the heart of those kind of people is all the same. So it definitely would resonate with them too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us today. And, if we have questions in the comments, Christina or I will hop on and answer you at some point today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Corey.
Hey, thank you.